everyone, and welcome to Daily Newspaper Analysis, which is brought to you by LawSikho. So today we have two articles for our discussion. The first one is from the Hindu newspaper, which is titled as "Why Hasn't Marital Rape Been Criminalized in India Yet?" So this is almost one of the most debated topics of the country, and also we have discussed it previously as well as to what is the marital rape and why hasn't been it criminalized as yet in the Indian criminal system. The second article is from the Indian Express, which is titled as "Helping Mumbai Weather Change." This basically talks about the new action plan which has been taken by Mumbai. So what are the tenets behind it and what we can learn from it as well has been discussed in this article. This newspaper analysis is brought to you by me. My name is Sheva Khan. I am a law graduate and I have completed my law degree from Uttaranchal University with a gold medal in my batch. I have also been a national debater and a public speaker, and here at LawSikho, I am working as the manager for current affairs vertical. If you wish to connect with me, you can find me on my Twitter as well as LinkedIn handles. The links to both are available in the description box below. Let's see what is the multiple choice question from yesterday's discussion. Green hydrogen is procured from, your options are free air, water, used fossil fuels, or none of the above. If you know the answer, you can put it down in the comment section below. This is the descriptive question for the day. Marital rape should be criminalized under the Indian criminal system. Critically discuss. Please remember that whenever the question asks you to discuss or analyze anything critically, it means that you have to discuss the advantages, disadvantages, or both in favor or against of the given statement. With this, let's start a discussion for the first article of the day, which talks about the criminalization of marital rape. So in 2017, the Supreme Court in the case of Independent Thought versus Union of India refused to delve into the question of marital rape of adult women while examining exceptions to Section 375, which actually provides for rape under IPC, which allows a man to force sex on his wife. So I hope you all understand the meaning of marital rape. See, obviously, the rape has been defined under Section 375 of the Indian Penal Code. But when we talk about the marital rape, so basically it is sex or any kind of, intercourse by a man with his wife after the marriage, of course. So basically that is when he actually uses marriage as a thing to force sex on his particular wife. So that is actually considered to be as marital rape. Now, there are different kinds of discussions when we come to marital rape, as in some people say that there is nothing called as marital rape, and once you are married, so you have the right on each other's body, and thus there is no question of consent that would fall. But also there are other people who say that consent is consent whatsoever, whatever be the matter or whatever be the situation. So even if you are in a married relationship, still it is always preferable and it is always necessary that you have the consent of the other person, which means that you are at least not forcing yourself onto other person, and thus even though you are married, you can commit rape onto your wife. So the recent High Court rulings have contradictory opinions about the same, and if they said that one backed marital rape is a valid group for divorce, with another granted bail, which is for anticipatory to a man while concluding marital rape, is not illegal. So basically it says that if at all somebody has committed a marital rape on the wife of his wife, so that would be a valid ground for divorce, while another person who has been granted anticipatory bail while concluding the marital rape is not illegal. See that what are the related provisions and reports which are associated with the marital rape in India. So first of all, we have Section 375 of the Indian Penal Code, which defines offense of rape. So basically it says that it is the physical acts done without the consent of the women, and here is an exception to it, which are the sexual acts by husband with his wife if she's 18 years of age and above. So this creates a legal fiction that a wife always consents to her husband. In effect, wife's non-consent is irrelevant. So basically this idea gives that if she's 18 years or above the age and she's married to a particular person, then he would not be committing rape on the particular woman, that is his wife, which means that here the question of consent coming from a woman completely is brought down, which means that having no consent is particularly irrelevant in this case, which definitely is not the right thing in many kinds of opinions. So here we have the missed opportunities to criminalize the marital rape. So according to the Justice J.S. Verma committee, it recommended the criminalization of the marital rape, but it was not implemented by the parliament and other political ramifications were there. So the Supreme Court in this case, as we have discussed above, in independent thought, missed an opportunity to look at all forms of marital rape and not restricted to women below 18 only. And that is why probably the article says that it is high time now that when we actually realize the rights of the women, even after, when she's married, so marital rape is one cruel thing that we need to stop, and it should definitely be criminalized in the coming time. So if we talk about the constitutional provisions, so a person deserves equality and equal protection and autonomy. So the exception to marital rape is unconstitutional and violative of Article 14. So the affront to dignity of the individual is protected under Article 21. And the nature of relationship between victim and offender does not really absolve a person of the crime, just as in this case, we are actually absolving the crime just because the person who is committing the rape, the marital rape, is the husband. And most sexual violence are away from eyewitness, and to lead evidence is a challenge. And that is why this actually becomes a problem, as to proving marital rape becomes very, very difficult in many situations. So let's see the second article of the day, which talks about Mumbai's Climate Adaptation Plan, which is the MCAP. So Mumbai is drafting an ambitious climate adaptation plan. So let's see that what are the 5 major recommendations that have come through the MCAP. Firstly, climate change planning is not a luxury and it is not for a privileged few. Rather, it is basically the need of the hour, and it is very much necessary to protect all the citizens. So here Aditya Thackeray said that we need a climate lens for every decision in the city, be it for buildings, land use, or urban infrastructure. So this is a very important point that has been discussed in one of the recommendations of the climate action plan for Mumbai, that discussing or talking about the climate action, it is not something that we do for leisure, or it is not something that we do as a fancy thing. Rather, it is perhaps the biggest need of the hour. And that is why Aditya Thackeray, who is basically, from the leading political party that we have from Maharashtra. So basically, he said that whenever we are making any kinds of decisions for the growth of the city, be it for the buildings, the land use, infrastructure growth, anything for that sort, so we need to see it through the lens of climate action, that what impact of our actions will be there on the climate change. And if it is costing too much on the environment, then definitely such plans should be either dropped or more sustainable plans should be taken up. The second one is that the municipal corporation should miss the forest for the trees, which means that the technocratic solutions recommended for one area that needs to be considered across other sectors for fully understanding the impact. So here we need to understand that Maharashtra's initiative to expand the EV infrastructure, that is the electric vehicle infrastructure, is significant, and success of which depends on the decarbonization as well. And the Mumbai grid is currently powered by coal, and that is why coal, one of the fossil fuels that causes which is the biggest source basically of the carbon emission in the environment. That is why it needs to be replaced as soon as possible with the electric vehicles or the solar power as well. So basically this says that what we should do is that we should actually conserve the forest, and we should make sure that the fossil fuels are actually replaced by more renewable sources of energy. Then next it says that the municipal corporation over there of Mumbai, it needs to build an effective process for ongoing climate change plan rather than focusing on fixed product of a climate plan. That is why what we should do is that we should become more dynamic in our approach in order to cope up with the latest kinds of problems that we are facing in the environment. So the different groups within city face different kinds of climatic challenges, and that is why they should be dealt accordingly only. Fourth, the plan should be made with or for majority of the residents, which means that the decision making, it should include the people and the citizens of the city, so that they think themselves to be a part of it in the first instance. And secondly, they also develop a sense of responsibility in executing the decisions that they have taken. So that is why an action coming from the citizens is very much required if we really want to see a change in the climate action. And finally and fifthly, the cost must be borne proportionately by the majority of citizens. So it could be either through taxes, or it could be through some special taxes that they could pay for the particular cause. So that these are the major 5 recommendations that have been given by Mumbai Climate Adaptation Plan. So this article concludes with the following remarks, that the plan to increase the ability of the city to withstand the environmental disasters in the present and near future can only succeed if It ensures that all the residents, particularly the most vulnerable one, can be secured of safe, healthy and resilient housing, public space and urban infrastructure. Like, let's say for example, that there are people who live in the slums. So if at all there are bad rains, which Mumbai, faces during most of the rainy seasons. So definitely these are the people who are affected the most because they do not even have pakka houses. Like for example, there are people who live in small sheds or small kacha houses near the beach or near the coastal line of Mumbai. So if at all there is any cyclone or any kind of such flooding or water, it takes place. So these people are definitely more prone to be more affected by these things. And that is why it is very much important that all the residents, and particularly these most vulnerable ones, they can be secured safe, healthy and resilient housing, public spaces as well as the urban infrastructures like schools, hospitals, colleges, roads, bridges, etc. Then the urban development and flourishing for anyone depends on healthy environment for everyone. And that is why before we are not healthy, like unless we are not healthy, we can never ever be happy and we can never grow as a society as well. So basically, the Mumbai Climate Action Plan will also focus on 6 action areas. First is the sustainable waste management. Second would be the urban greening and biodiversity. Third, flooding, water resource management. Fourth, building energy efficiency. Fifth, air quality. And sixth would be sustainable mobility. So this was all for the day. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. Do not forget to catch the podcast discussion of this, which we will be able to find on Spotify, Google, Anchor as well as Apple Podcasts. Also, if you wish to download the PDF of today's slides, you can join our Telegram channel. The link is again available in the description box below, or you can simply scan the QR code that you can see on your screens right now. For other crisp and exam-oriented content, do not forget to follow us on our official Instagram channels for Judiciary, CLAT Prep as well as UGC Net if you're preparing for any of these exams. Thank you so much.